Welcome to the StockMiner.com studios. I'm your StockMiner Brian Johnson, and it is nice to be home again as I clack the heels of my ruby slippers together 3 times. Wonderful trip, wonderful time, wonderful game, but it's always nice to get home, isn't it? So here we are, looking at another day in the markets, and here we are with not much to really go over. Looking at the markets themselves, mostly sideways. We did have a gap down to start the day, but as we've seen, we gap up, the bears move it down. We gap down, the bulls move it up. It's really just kind of a sad little existence that we have here in the markets right now, where everything's basically sideways. The one shining beacon in all of it is the Nasdaq. It consistently stays strong. It's consistently up every day over what the other markets typically show, while the S&P and the Dow finished flat, really. Matter of fact, the S&P was up a whopping 0.02, which is 0.00% in the grand scheme of things. That is as flat as you're going to get. The Nasdaq was still up 0.26%, so you can see Nasdaq consistently 1/4 to 0.5% more than the rest of the indices right now, which means the markets are not yet ready to quite give up the ghost. It's going to have to be a broad-based sell-off in order for this to happen. That means the Nasdaq has to go with it. So we will, of course, keep our attention on all of the indices, but we want to keep special attention on the Nasdaq. When it starts to fail, then maybe we start to see the rest of the markets roll over as well in a more serious manner. So here we are, straight across once again. New day of trading, new day of going nowhere. Holding this blue line, holding above this support line right here, coming down to test it and maybe dance around it and through it a little bit today, but you can see how the markets quickly got back above this 11, let's call it 11,160 area, 11,150 really, 11,150 area, and holding on to it for at least another day. Here, for the day itself, we only moved about 100 points high to low. Once again, slow, methodical, just very, very tedious moves to the upside. As long as it stays up here, it is bullish, guys. Yes, I know, it's teetering on here. It would be very, very easy to say, oh, hey, we're going to drop. Look how well this overhead resistance is holding. And yes, you're right, this overhead resistance is holding very well. Here's the point. No bears are coming in here. Nobody's trying to push this thing down. If this thing stays up here any longer, the bulls are going to win. The bears are going to go, I don't care, whatever. And they're going to let these guys slide through. It's going to break this 11,200 mark. Once it does that, then we need to be on guard for a more major move to the upside here. And that could once again retest this 11,250 mark, if not break it. The Nasdaq showing us the strength. Look at this. A gap down right into the 50, only to move it right back up into this 2120-ish area. We're dancing with 2125 above that. I think goes to 2150. Not even touching and or breathing around this blue line that's back here. This is a strong, strong support area. The daily shows it as well. Look at this huge climb up. Once again, the gap down only to be met by more buying for the Nasdaq participants, looking to push itself into this 2150 overhead area. Here we have another, as you can see, start to the week on the upside. Now, we haven't gone much of anywhere, really, for the week. You can see small doji right now. We're only 2 days into it. Not a lot of volume because we're only 2 days into it. So we won't make a big deal out of it, but keep in mind that we are holding above all of this major, what was resistance is now support up here. The longer it holds, the better the bulls have of pushing this thing continually upwards, even into the end of the week and further beyond. If we look at the SPX on a 60, you can see us once again dancing with this blue line. Really back below it, holding it yesterday, holding it again today, getting the gap down, running back into it. This whole area here is really a big, like I said, no-fly zone for me. 1190 up into the 1200 or even above mark. Geez, you want to be so careful. Maybe if you can get back above 1190, that's an opportunity to play it long again, but you're going to be wanting, obviously, to watch the 1196, 1195 area above us because we have, some overhead resistance there on the weekly. But as long as the bulls keep doing this, there is still nothing broken from a bull side overall. They're doing very, very well up here. And on a daily, here we have yesterday you saw the big wick up. Today you see a wick down. Just overall sideways action. This is, as always, still bullish for the markets. It's just a slow, plodding move to the upside by the bulls, waiting for these more major breaks. And guys, I like it below 1165 and I like it below 1150. Keep those areas in mind if and when this drop starts. I shouldn't say if, it is just a matter of when, but we don't want to be too overly optimistic in our bear calls, and a lot of times people will see any kind of a move to the downside as this is it, I don't want to miss it, and they jump in. Make sure it breaks some of these levels before you start throwing your hard-earned cash at it, otherwise you can get your hands slapped. We've seen it over and over and over and over again on this way up, so let's be very cautious. Still looking for that push above 1190, then 1195, then 1207. Ultimately, I think I'd say 1205 to 1210, and then 1220 for our bigger mark. Notice how we're holding very nicely for the time being, right up here at this weekly. But there is good, strong overhead resistance here. So we don't know. This candle hasn't closed. Last week's candle held very nicely. This week's candle, we don't know. Still a lot of time left until we see exactly where this market's going to go by week's end. VIX on a daily, though, showing that it was up ever so slightly again today. But all this does, every time it moves up and the markets go nowhere or are up a little bit, is give more room for the VIX to move to the downside, which is what we're seeing here. It has not broken any of these resistance areas yet. There is no fear here. Yes, it's moved up the last couple of days while the market's gone nowhere, but you can't read anything from that. You can't glean a single thing from that particular move. It just creates more moves to the downside, which means more upwards to the market action. If it breaks above this area up here, right around this 2350 now to 24 area, yes, we have more to talk about. But once again, nothing to speak of as of right now until we see a break of one way or the other in the VIX from a weekly. Same thing, holding within that same pattern. Yes, it is up for the week, but we're only 2 days into it. Apple on a 60-minute kind of just floundering around down here. Should change that line ever so slightly to hold on to this, but it is what it is, and that is a falling wedge right now, which is still bullish for Apple. It's biding its time. Maybe it finds some support right here off this blue line. You can see how it has in the past here and now here again. If that happens, a push back up and above about 310, 312 gives you a good potential for a long here, albeit a little bit speculative, but still a good opportunity for a long play within Apple itself at that 310, 312 area. That would be a bounce off this blue line, taking us a little bit higher. So is Apple going to drop a little bit? Is it going to go up a little bit? It's anybody's guess. It's only Tuesday, so we'll leave the weeklies alone for the time being. Notice how FAS did see a little choppy action, but ultimately still finding itself within this larger channel that we've been watching here. These lines are working very nice. No push up, no push down, hence no entry on FAS from my standpoint. Nothing above 23, 2350, and nothing below 21 yet, so nothing to look at right now. I'm still more neutral to bullish on this move here. Within this triangle itself. So above that 2350, probably a pretty, I think, pretty good place, very conservative place to get long the FAS. You can run that by 25 cents for a more aggressive move, but above 2350 I like to the long side yet. As an FAZ, that means it's holding its channel as well, except its channel is of course heading downwards, and on the daily means we're still watching this falling wedge. Below 12 bucks, still your entry to the short side. Above 13, still your go long moment. Okay, that does it for today's video, guys. This is a good time to be educating yourself. Yes, I know, but it's a perfect time to do it when the markets are going nowhere and they're not doing anything. There's no and very little panic within the streets themselves. You need to get in and know when to get in before the panic starts. Get a hold of me. Talk to me about the mentoring class that I offer. It is, I believe, exceptional in value compared to what you'll find out there. And I am your mentor for good. Once you're in, you're in. We continue to work with one another for as long as you continue to trade the markets. So talk to me now. There's nothing going on in the markets. Why not start educating yourself? Get a hold of me, call me, and or write me an email, and we'll be in touch. Otherwise, see you guys again, as always, tomorrow. Bye.